Welcome to the Preneur Life, the #1 channel for faith-based leaders. Have you ever been lost with your vision? Well, this video is going to help you as your GPS. So welcome back, guys. Let's get right into it. Actually, I'm going to reference the book of facts in this conversation, which I'm pretty excited to as well. And we have 7 points to help you get to the destination process of your vision. Let's dive right into it. The first one is, are you clear on what you want? Okay, are you clear on what you want? And I know for myself, I had a big issue in being clear on what I want my next moves to be. So what I did is I took a notepad and I started writing down all the things that were in my heart, all the things that were in my head, all the things that I wanted, tangible and intangible. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about the materialistic things to the non-materialistic things, for what I want to do for world peace, all the way down to just, making sure that the local person that I may know be able to have $1 effectively. Maybe for you, it could be a little different things as well, what you want to do for your community. Maybe you want to do for your culture. Maybe you want to do for your county, or different things along those lines. Whatever it is in your heart, you need to write it down. That can help you in regards to getting aligned to what actually makes you move, what actually makes you excited. And it helped me tremendously. I started noticing a lot of things overlapped and aligned, which kind of allowed me to understand what my next move is going to be. And it kind of reminds me of this verse right here in Psalms 37, for verse 5, and it says, "Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." So what does that mean? If you're not clear on your vision right now and you want things to be able to come to pass, the Lord will give you all the things in your heart. You just got to be understandable of what you have in your heart is aligned to what he has. It's going to come to pass. So that kind of goes right to the next one, which is career, short-term or long-term finances, and relationship with your family. Let's kind of get clear on those 3 things right here. So the first one is career. So we start talking about your career. There's only 2 options for you, really. Either you're an entrepreneur, okay, which means you are running your own operation, or you're an intrapreneur, which you're inside of an entrepreneur's vision, okay? But your vision fits as well. So either one of those doesn't really matter. But this is what 1 Corinthians says right here, 15, verse 58. It says, "Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm and let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully," okay, it says fully, "to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." So what does that really mean? That means that regardless if you're an entrepreneur, you're your own boss, or if you're an entrepreneur, you have a boss. Either way, you're the boss. And if you are an entrepreneur, your bank account is your boss, because it literally tells you what you're doing effectively. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you have someone that's managing you right now, do you do your work effectively? Do you consistently keep growing that regardless if someone's watching you or not? So that's one of the biggest 2 things right there, is that you always diligently work as if the man upstairs is watching you each and every day, as he is. That's what you see next is what? Short-term and long-term finances. This is such a major deal. Why? Because once you're clear on what you want, what do you want short-term? What do you want next week? What do you want today? What do you want in the next month? Then you move to what? Long-term finances. What is that? 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? What are you expecting to want? Because without a plan, you're not going to get there effectively. So this is very big. And Timothy 5-8 in the book of Acts says, "Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, okay, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." Woo, that's a big one, all right, especially for our providers out here. Why? Because that transitions us right into the next point, which is what? Relationship with your family. So what is your vision with your family? Are you providing for your family with your finances, as Timothy says right there? But then also, what is the vision for the family that you are leading? Okay, so what does that really mean? Maybe you have a vision for your children. What do you expect of them? What is the currency that you have for them? What does that mean? What I mean by that? Like maybe for your son, you want him to go to college. Maybe for your daughter, you want her to, be a president one day, because there hasn't been any women presidents at the moment. Maybe for your spouse, you have a major vision for her. So have you had that conversation with each one of them on what is the clear vision for them? What is the clear vision even for you guys together? Those are different things that you will definitely want to talk about. And Proverbs 22:6 says this. It says, "Start children off on the way they should go," okay? "And even when they are old, they will not turn from it." So what does that really mean? That means principles and values. You're talking about what's right and what's wrong, having integrity, making sure that you're able to do those effectively. Those are conversations that start young And hopefully you're having those conversations with your family up front, so they do not depart from it when they go older. So that is what? Clear on what you want. That is point number one. Once you go from point number one, we can go to point number two, which is write down in importance. This is so big, right? Because out of these three, it's either going to be personal or it's going to be business. So which one's more of a priority for you right now? It really depends on the season of life that you're in. For me, in my season of life right now, my family is pretty much in a good place. We have systems in place already to handle those. So right now we are more on the business side of my priority. So my task and everything we're going to be talking about next point are more on the business, because the systems are already in place for the family. So once you have the family in place, now you can move to the business, which funds the family's vision. So then number two, you can say write down in importance. So all importance, all those different things that you want in your vision, write them down, all right, from prioritizing. Then he say Habakkuk, right? You love that word. You just say, the book of H in the book of Fasta, right? If you go mess with that word up like I have, which is Habakkuk again 2:2, states that, then the Lord replied, write them down within the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. What does that really mean? That means again that for you, that once it's clear and once you have it prioritized, that anyone can take it and can run with it. Anyone can take those prioritized systems, prioritized clear vision, and say, you know what, I can go and do it as well. So are you able to pass your visions on to the next generation because it's so clear? All right. Number three is specific goals that you actually want. What are specific goals maybe for your family that you want? What are specific goals that you want for your finances that you want? How about for your career that you have right now? What are those specific goals? Maybe you say for my business, we want to cross over a certain amount of revenue. Okay, so maybe it's, I want to cross over 1,000 in sales or whatever it is. I want to grow my team size to a certain amount. Whatever it is it specific? Do you have a number in place? All right, is it not vague? We got to make sure it's not vague. Also, when you start talking about finances, I want to have this amount of money in my bank account. I want to have this net cash in hand at this certain time. Specific relationship with the family. Man, I want to make sure that me and the kids have a best relationship ever. I want, so we're going to meet every Sunday. I want specific goals, right? So Proverbs 16:9 says this. It says, in their hearts, humans place their course, but the Lord establishes your steps. So yes, you're going to place the course that you have, the goals that you want, but don't worry. If you have this and it's aligned to the purpose that we're talking about here today, that God's going to align those steps as well. He's going to cover it. Next is number 4, steps to reach. Okay, steps to reach. This is such a big deal because what are the steps that are actually going to help you get to that goal? Okay, so once you know that the goal is, what are the steps that you need to put in place? Right? So for example, if you say, my goal is to, have the best relationship with my kids. All right. Well, what's the steps that you need to have with that? Is that, we are specifically going to meet every morning for breakfast, right? Because, am I going to have a date with my kids? Like, for example, this is what we've been able to do as a system. I have dates with my family. Every Sunday, we do this thing called the Eatmon games, where my kids get to choose 5 different games, all right? And we all play as a family, all right? And then also, my kids get to grab my calendar, all right? This is specific now. They get to grab my calendar, and they get first dibs on my calendar. They all choose a date with me. So my son hops on and says, I want Monday because I want the first date. Okay, so he chooses that. He has an hour. They have an hour to 2 hours to block out. Then my daughters choose it as well. And then I take them out on a date. Then my wife chooses hers. So I have specific dates with each one of my kids and even my wife, but then we have all together on a Sunday as well. Why? Because my goal was to what? My vision was to have the best relationship with my family, right? So then I had a specific goal, then I now have steps to reach that. You have to define what that is too. And Luke 14:28-29 says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to even complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule it. That's pretty powerful right there. So what is your steps to reach your goal effectively, right? And then next is going to be number 5, which is tasks. What are the tasks at hand? What are things that you're going to have to do, to make sure that these things are all taken care of? Right? So for me, I know that I have to get enough rest. That's a task. I gotta have a lot of energy because spending time with my kids, and this is an example again for this goal, takes a lot of energy, right? So for me to put that system together, I have to make sure that I take care of myself as a task so that I can effectively get the best for my children, right? On each day or each date that I do choose, or they choose as well. so that we can make sure the goal is effectively accomplished, right? And then number 6, which you'll see here, it says completion dates, okay? Completion dates. So what is your completion date? So yes, it means nothing. It's all a wish if you have no finish line. All right, so we have to have a completion date. And you need to schedule a completion date for each, for each step and task. For each step and task, it needs to be a completion date. So for example, use my kids again as an example. So I want to make sure that again, the vision is to be able to have the best relationship with them. Great, I want that. Well, my goal is to make sure that's accomplished. Well, my steps is I meet with them. They have a date with them one-on-one, but I also have all together. Then I have tasks to make sure that it is accomplished. So what's those tasks? When I meet with my daughters, we talk about, you don't open your door. Those are different tasks. So I have tasks when I meet with them. I'm thinking about, my son, I got to make sure when he shakes a man's hand, he squeezes the hand. He looks in the, in a gentleman's eyes. When I'm talking to my wife, speaking the queen into her, saying, this is exactly what you're doing. You're such a virtuous woman. Those affirmations. So there's tasks that I have every time I meet with each one of them to help that relationship. But the completion dates is, when is this accomplished? When is my goal to accomplish different things with them on those tasks and those steps? And Proverbs 21:5 says this. It says, the plans of a diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. All right, so you want to be very clear on the finish line of each task and each step. And then lastly is what you'll see here is attack one by one until your dream is achieved, until your vision is achieved. Attack one by one of the steps and the task until it's all accomplished. And one verse that reminds me of this specifically is Philippians 4:13, which states, I can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthens me. And that's pretty exciting, knowing that, again, that you have someone upstairs that has your best interest at heart, that has your heart desires also aligned with his, and therefore all this will be accomplished. So hopefully, this can encourage you to put together some steps. If you're lost with your vision, that these are the 7 steps that have been able to help me tremendously with the relation with my family, with our finances, to be able to exponentially grow from being an entrepreneur and also an entrepreneur as a career, and making sure that we are clear on what we all wanted. So hopefully it helps you too. And if this video has helped you at all, go ahead and follow us on social media, and we're excited to be able to see you on the next video as well.